life. You saw my future for me, my job, my house, my wife. You said the fire. You set the fire, now and I refuse. You spat your morals at me, force-fed your points of view, force-fed me till I was sick of everything you do. You said the file. You said the file, now we all refuse. Can't touch Michael Go-Go, this is your time to fight a come to know. Burn them all for what they've done. They'll feel what you've done.
You've lost also your benefits. I mean, was it worthwhile?
The attention in people is, yeah, agree, yeah, it was, yeah.
The thing is, they tell us always that we're powerless. That's the point of this. They tell us that we've got no power. And when people met in the pubs, people like Mark and Ian and other people met in the pubs and talked to each other, that's a very frightening thing to do, to then go into that place, take that place over for over 2.5 weeks, whatever, be on the front page of newspapers in India, China, all across Europe, to have journalists phoning up, all the rest of it. It shows what a small group of people can do. You imagine if the whole island moves. And if the whole island moves, whatever, you can win jobs at Vestas, but not just jobs at Vestas. It means ripping up the rubbish pay that people have to put up on the Isle of Wight, stopping the redundancies they're trying to make at other plants across the island. Otherwise, it's drawing the line in the sand.
We need the jobs on the islands first thing. Vestas was the biggest private employer on the island, and the island can't afford to lose 600 jobs. It's also keep being told by the government that they were green jobs of the future, and they're going to invest in them. We're going to have loads of them, and they can't even keep one factory open. The biggest factory in Britain to produce these wind turbines.
And can you tell us a bit about your experiences at the TUC conference and what happened there with Ed Miliband?
Well, the first day we met Gordon Brown, and I refused to shake his hand, which made him look like he was going to have a nervous breakdown. And the next day, Ed Miliband was speaking, and as he was speaking, he started mentioning green jobs and investing in green jobs. And independently from us, delegates started raising sort of Save Vestas and newsletters, and they kept doing it. And then we joined in. We picked them all up. Then the whole of the TUC stood up, turned their back to him, and applauded us, and gave us a standing ovation.
And then later on, you talked to Ed Miliband, didn't you?
We did for a bit. He was at least he'd stick around and talk rather than Gordon Brown.
And what was his explanation of why Vestas...
I can't do anything about it. He's tried his hardest. He said he would try and he said he would try and help us with get our redundancies back. He'd also said he'd have a meeting with us at some time as well.
Did he expand on the reason why he couldn't do anything about it?
He said he doesn't believe in national. He said he doesn't think it's his or the government's job to run wind turbine factories,
as opposed to banks and car firms.
As opposed to banks, car firms, or railways, which have renationalised part of the railway.
Hi, we're all here today to rally to save Vestas as part of the Save Vestas National Day of Action. There's been actions happening all across the country, and we're going to introduce our first speaker. This has been hosted by the Campaign Against Climate Change and PCS. Our first speaker is John McDonnell, Labour MP for Hayes and Harlington. Thank you, John.
I've just come back from the TUC. Well, we've both just come back from the TUC, and I suppose one of the most entertaining parts of what has been a fairly boring week was the opportunity to heckle Ed Miliband. And what I thought was, if you can get a chance to look at the video of Miliband's speech, there was nothing there that most people could disagree with, apart from expanding nuclear power, expanding the consumption of carbon, and basically undermining the future of the planet. So nothing particularly contentious. But whilst he was speaking, brothers and sisters from Vestas got up to protest, to hold up a banner and to hold up newspapers drawing attention to the need to support the Vestas workers. RMT delegation got up and the whole Congress rose up in a standing ovation to interrupt Ed Miliband's speech. But watch the video of the speech if you can, because Ed Miliband was completely nonplussed, speechless, sort of grimaced as the Vestas workers got up, but then started to applaud them, then started to clap. What a bleeding hypocrite. What we needed a few months ago was a simple action. Bob Crow called for it, and so the Vestas workers were RMT members. It was straightforward. We're facing the biggest threat to our existence in peacetime we've ever faced through climate change. We're facing the loss of our communities, loss of our nation, loss of the planet as a result of the threat of climate change. And the irony is we know the solution. The solution is that we invest in regeneration, regenerative energy, and we ensure that we no longer rely upon carbon, which will pollute our atmosphere. And at the forefront of that campaign against climate change were the Vestas workers producing the very goods, the very machinery that we need to rely upon to tackle climate change. So when their jobs were put at risk, it was a very simple action that was required. The government simply needed to nationalise Vestas and put people back to work again. And Miliband failed in that challenge, despite all the talks, despite all the representation. Miliband refused to move. And what he announced this week was $4 million to establish a factory in the North East. Well, that's fine, we support that. But actually there was already a factory there he could have invested in that protected jobs and helped us tackle the climate change threat. Well, the key issue now is first of all ensure that the Vestas workers who heroically occupied the factory and who have actually suffered as a result of losing their redundancy pay and other penalties are protected and supported, that we don't walk away from the Vestas workers as a result of the heroic action that they're now being victimised. We need to support them. And those workers that went up a crane the other day and who were arrested and detained, we support them also. Whatever support we need to give them, financially or in solidarity, we do through RMT and also through the movement overall. But secondly, that we demand their jobs back. And the simple solution is you bring the policy of providing alternative energy sources into a nationalised industry. We bring Vestas back under public control and public ownership, and in that way we can plan not just our economy, we can plan the campaign of tackling climate change and the threat to our community. We're here today because we're not going to allow this campaign to go away. We're not going to allow the Vestas workers to be victimised, and we're going to stand in solidarity for as long as it takes, not just to get their jobs back, but also to ensure that the government acts seriously in tackling climate change and promoting alternative energy sources. Solidarity.